It's time for the 49ers Rush podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush podcast. I am your host, as always, John Chapman, and man, things are crazy, and you don't have to look very far. You know, all the sporting events are being canceled everywhere. It's what it is across the country. My other school, where I teach at, completely closed. Kids' school closed. Everything's closed. It's just what it is. There's no sports. There's not a lot on TV. There's not a lot for entertainment. And I said, man, we got to do something. Let's get something out there for the people that need some sports. I could use the distraction as much as the next person. So what I wanted to do was a full mock draft for the 49ers. So we're going to do a full 7-round mock draft to spend a lot of time on this. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Obviously, anytime you do a mock draft, people are going to disagree, and rightfully so. I love it. I love arguing. I am not one with quote-unquote thin skin. If you see me right now, I am very thick-skinned. But anyway, the idea is this. If you hate my picks, that's awesome. That's a debate and tell me why. Don't call me an idiot because I picked somebody that you don't like. Call me an idiot and tell me why the 49ers should have picked somebody else. Now, is this going to happen verbatim? Hell no, it's not. But this is an awesome practice to go through and see what the situation is going to be like on draft day. Every single NFL team does this exact same thing that we're going to do today. So we're going to go through, got some trades in here. We're going full 7 rounds, so buckle up. We're covering it all. So the 49ers currently, they have 6 picks, but they're not great picks by any stretch of the imagination. The very first pick is the 31st overall in the first round. Then we don't have a second round pick. That's what we gave up for Dee Ford. We don't have a third or a fourth round pick because that's what we gave up for Emmanuel Sanders. Then we get into the 5th round. Our second pick isn't until 156. So first pick 31, second pick 156. It's a ways away. We have 2 picks in the 5th round, 1 in the 6th, and then 2 in the 7th. So there's going to be some finessing. Definitely trade back scenario the first round is what the doctor seems to be prescribing. But we'll have to see. It takes 2 to tango. Usually those late first round draft trades usually is for a team to jump up into the first to get a quarterback. You look at Lamar Jackson, things like that, because you get that extra 5th-year option. So hopefully a team, there's several different teams that could jump up with us. There's no doubt about that, but it always depends on how the board falls. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Let's have some fun. And, man, let's talk about this stuff. And, again, if you are joining us, on Twitch, Twitter, Restream, doesn't matter, YouTube, please, if you have any comments, just tag us at John Chapman on there so that I could see it. Just want to say thanks as always. If this is your first time joining us, we're draft coverage like crazy for a long time. And then after the draft and all those things, which we're trying to have to, I was planning to throw a draft party in Vegas with some players that, we were working deals on to get them to come out and hang out. But doesn't seem like that's going to be a possibility now as the NFL is starting to cancel. Not an official word out just yet, but it does seem like the draft is going to be taking a turn, but we're going to figure something out. We're going to get you guys the best draft content regardless of the situation outside of our homes, but we're going to be there for you guys. So the 49ers are on the clock. They sit still. They definitely don't trade up. It is a possibility they could trade up, but I don't think that is very likely with only having 1 pick in the first 4 rounds. So they sit tight at 31. And the clock, I've done several simulations, and what I would do is, I use several different websites. The Draft Network has an awesome mock draft simulator you can use First Pick has an awesome one with trades as well. That is free if you don't want to pay. The Draft Network, you have to pay for the trades. And then there's also, one of my favorites is On the Clock with FanSpeak. So there's 3 different simulators that you can use. And so I try to use all of them and see whom is going to be there at pick 31. Now, I don't do the same thing once we get into the 5th and 6th rounds, just because it's so far down the road. But anyway, so at pick 31, here's the best available. And for everybody that's like, oh, just draft the best available player, that is a reality, and I understand that, and you can use that, whatever, that philosophy. But here's the thing that happens in the NFL. Wherever the team's need is, or wherever their holes on their roster are, they're going to move those positions up accordingly. So if you have a need at safety, lo and behold, every single team's best player is going to be a safety. They always move those positions up. Now, there are a few positions like edge, tackle, quarterback that you just constantly are bringing those in. Corner is now a huge need as well in the passing game. That is the 49ers. So the best available at pick number 31, here are the guys that are there. Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. He's been very high on my board since coming out of the 2018 season. I love this kid. Yes, there are some concerns, but we're picking 31 overall. There are no more guaranteed 100% going to be. There's no such thing in that draft anyway. Whether it's the first overall pick, Jamarcus Russell, you can keep going, Crouch. There's so many. You could find misses at every single point in the draft. We took Solomon Thomas 3rd overall. That didn't work out. Love the kid, but he is not a very good football player in our system. But anyway, Grant Delpit, he does have some concerns with tackling, but I love his ball skills. Wide receiver position, there's 3. And this is a very deep wide receiver class. Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU, who his film is nasty. He ran a 4.4 at the combine and was pissed. Just the explosiveness that's him now. His 3-cone was a major concern. Kyle Shanahan loves low 3-cone scores. T. Higgins, I personally I have a 3rd round grade on T. Higgins. His pro day, he did run, it's hand time. There was some 4.4 talk from scouts, but the majority had him in the 4.5s. He had a 31-inch vertical. For an offensive guard, several offensive guards beat him. Broad jump was not good either. I'm not a T. Higgins fan. I know a lot of people love him. That's not me. Denzel Mims, I'd be very, very happy. I would not be surprised in the least if he sneaks up in the first round, wide receiver out of Baylor. And this is another possibility. The offensive tackle class, it's really, really good at the top end. I think that there's 6 guys that could go in the first round, just because there's such a need, and with the value in the current NFL at right tackle and left tackle, it's huge. Austin Jackson, offensive tackle out of USC, is there. I think that he is a possible fit if the 49ers want to look at. Well, yeah. We're planning on Joe Staley coming back. Obviously, we have Mike McGlinchey on the right tackle spot. Justin School is the backup tackle, not, a lot of people want to say, the AAF guy that came over and all that stuff, and he started everywhere. Brunskill, he is going to be a guard long-term. That's what the 49ers want. So if you want to bring in some higher pedigree guys to compete for that backup swing role, if you don't think School is the answer long-term, maybe they do. But it is a possibility. A couple corners. Trayvon Diggs, cornerback out of Alabama, converted wide receiver, related to Stefon Diggs. A very big play guy. Really like him, but he's raw. He's only played corner for 2 years now, but you love corners coached by Nick Saban. Is super high upside. Perfect for the cover 3 scheme that Robert Saleh runs. A.J. Terrell. I really, really like this kid. I think he's one of the tallest, most physical corners out of Clemson. All the corners that come out of Clemson, always physical. I think those 2 guys are possibilities there as well. At guard, my number 1 guard in this draft class is Jonah Jackson out of Ohio State. He fits what the 49ers do perfectly, but it's not a great guard class. I don't think that he's a true first-round pick, but for those of you that are saying, oh, we keep getting killed by 3 techniques, this is your answer. He cannot play center, though. And, Kyle Shanahan loves guys that are hybrid and can versatile. That's the word we're going to start to hear as we move forward with draft talk. But I think that's where Jonah Jackson is going to have an opportunity to be he's going to be the first guard off the board. And then Ross Blacklock. defensive tackle out of TCU. I love this kid. I have a top 20 grade on him. There's a few people around the industry that just love this kid. I know a lot of people are saying third round grade, whatever else, but he is that perfect defensive tackle that can play nose or three tech. I think nose is what he's best at. Very, very explosive. And, a lot of teams took advantage of the 49ers by running wherever DeForest Buckner wasn't. Whoever that opposing Sheldon Day was in, they were attacking him. You put Solomon Thomas, they're attacking him. Earl Mitchell, they're attacking him. So you get a guy like Ross Blacklock in there, then you don't have anywhere to run inside. There's no weaknesses there. So I could see all of those possibilities. So I went to the trade, and I was like, man, I like a lot of these guys. There's 6 dudes that I would love to draft at this spot. Well, the 49ers need help. So I went, and I started calling, and I put out as many trade scenarios as I possibly could, and I got one strong answer back. Okay, and that's with the Jets, who don't need a quarterback, but they jumped up. I think that they would jump up to get a tackle, personally, in this situation. But here's the deal. The 49ers are going to get the Jets' second and third round pick, number 48 and number 68. Okay, so we're going to get 2 picks in the top 70. So we're going to drop back 17 spots. And here's what it cost us. It cost us more than I thought it would, not just for the number 31 pick. We had to throw in 2 late rounders as well, picks number 176 and 217. So the 49ers only had 6 picks going into this draft, but they're returning, the second most starters in the NFL currently, and that's before Armstead gets signed long-term or franchised. So we don't need a lot of picks. What we need is talented picks that can play. And so we give up 31, 176, and 217, and we get back 48 and 68. I want to put this up on Twitter and see how many would agree with this trade. I think most people would say, yeah, do the trade, but you're giving up too many picks. But, based on the trade value chart, this is what it would cost. Maybe the 49ers could get away with just the 31 and 176, but whenever you're losing the, pick number 217, that's a 7th rounder. You already have another 7th rounder. Take that for what you will, but that's what it took to get this deal done for me. So the 49ers fall back. 17 spots, and as we go through this, a lot of guys are still there. Del Pitt's gone, but somehow Anton Winfield Jr. is still there. I love this safety out of Minnesota. A lot of people have him as their number 1 safety. Draft pedigree, NFL pedigree is there. Ball skills are there. He does have some major injury concerns. He's been injured a lot, and he's very small. But the speed checks out, the attitude checks out, all those things. And so Antoine Winfield Jr. at the safety position is there. Damon Arnett, the cornerback opposite of Jeffrey Okudah for Ohio State. Very polished corner, very smooth. Wish his 40 time would have been a little bit better. He was in the 4.5 range, but we were hoping for a 4.4 from him, but he's awesome. Cameron Dantzler, who is kind of that 6'2 corner, like him a lot. He is a possibility there. Jonah Jackson, the number 1 guard on my board, still there. Love that pick if that was a possibility. And somehow Jalen Reagor, with this wide receiver class that just it's just stupid, he is still there. So you've got these 5 guys, and you want them all. And this is kind of the problem that faces teams in the draft. Because you're going to say, look, all right, we have a safety, a corner, safety, 2 corners, a guard, and a wide receiver. It's a very deep wide receiver class, so you could say, you know what, we're going to hold off there. I love Jalen Reagor. I have a first-round grade on him. I would love to bring him into this system. But we're a running team, and the secondary, I think, is our long-term concern. If we're going to bring back Jimmy Ward, which I don't think we will, are you perfectly happy with Tart, who has 1 year left on his deal and hasn't played very, very well? He had 2 pass breakups and only 0 interceptions all year, and if you go back and watch the Super Bowl or a lot of the playoff games, he was the key target in all of the running plays for the opposing teams. The Chiefs, almost every single touchdown, 3rd and short, 4th and short, whatever, they went straight at Tart, and it was successful almost every time. So he's definitely a weakness in my book. I like Tart, but whenever another team shows you who they're attacking, that is going to be a weakness. That's just how I see it. So I want to address the secondary personally. Obviously, the guard spot, it's hard to pass up on that, but at pick 48, The 49ers make their first selection in the 2020 draft, and they go get, drum roll, safety out of Minnesota, Antoine Winfield Jr. I think that he steps in right away. He can play either safety spot. And if you want to move forward with Tarvarius Moore at safety and Jaquiski start at strong safety, that's fine. He's the guy that's going to come in and dime packages. And now you have competition for both safety spots. I think that he could beat out Jaquiski Tart. I really, really do. I think that he could play free safety as well. But I want ball skills and aggression at the safety position, and he brings that in spades. I think that this would be a great pick. The only question is he going to be there at pick 48? Are you going to be able to wait that long to get one of these positions? But what this mock draft does is it shows you, man, there's a lot of talent, and there might not be that much difference between pick 31 and pick 50. We're at 48 here, but there's still a lot of talent available that gets pushed down. This is a deep draft, especially at the top. So they get a safety, and now we have an extra third-round pick, and I almost traded up. I got close to trying to trade up. We just don't have any draft capital. I think that this is kind of the spot in that third round where it's possible for the 49ers to use a pick from the 2021 draft. You know, give up a third-round pick and a third-round pick next year and a first-round pick or fifth-round pick this year, right? Package those things. Package number 156 from this year's draft and a third from 2021 to try to get back up. I think that's a possibility. We'll have to see what happens, how the board falls. But the 49ers sit tight, and we get the second pick from the Jets trade, that number 68, which that's an awesome pick. You know, you're talking the fourth pick in the third round that you were able to get in that trade. And there's a lot of spots available here. So let's go through best available. These are all new guys for the most part. Two awesome safeties are still there, and that is making me question already off the bat my second round pick of Anton Winfield. I love that guy, but I don't have a very big drop between Anton Winfield and Kyle Duggar and Jeremy Chin. I like both of those safeties. They're still available early in the third round. Kyle Duggar, he's small school guy, just jacked up physically, just a physical freak. And Jeremy Chin, another safety / linebacker out of Oregon. Both those guys, very high-end guys. If I would have went corner or guard or wide receiver in the second round, hands down, I'm taking one of these two players. I think they fit what the 49ers want to do. But we already dressed safety, so we don't need them. So we'll move on through that. Cameron Dantzler, the cornerback, is still there somehow. And Bryce Hall, you're talking a 6'2" corner out of Virginia, ball skills galore. I really like this kid, plays very physical, very well coached, like him a lot. Chase Claypool, wide receiver / tight end, very physical, very athletic. His route running is poor, but just a superb athlete and very physical. A lot of people like him. Zach Moss, I put him on there. Running back out of Utah. For me, I have him as my number 4 overall running back, and the fact that he is still there, I don't think the 49ers will go running back early, but if you did, Zach Moss in the 4th out of Utah, that's stupid. He is an absolute stud. Anthony McFarland, a guy out of Maryland, another running back. There's so much running back value you can get in this draft. And then Robert Hunt, who, if you're looking at kind of interior offensive linemen, now we're down to the Louisiana Lafayette stud. He's a 6'5", 336 guy. He's a bigger guard than what we're used to. But I do think that he could do relatively well. And it's funny, his comp, if you look at his workout metrics, it's Laken Tomlinson. If you go to mockdraftable.com and you type in kind of Robert Hunt and how he did, it's Laken. So the fit is there, and you've got all these different positions. I looked to possibly trade back, but I was just like, man, there are two guys that are staring at me that are a huge need and a perfect fit for the 49ers right here. And I couldn't do it, and I went back and forth on which one I wanted. I have Bryce Hall, the cornerback out of Virginia, ranked higher than I do Cameron Dantzler. And it's really just kind of a pick your poison, but I want the polished, how do I say this? Man coverage, ball skills, physicality, and all those things. I really like what he brings to the table. So, with the number 68 pick, the 49ers select cornerback from Virginia, Bryce Hall. Welcome to the 49ers. And now you're looking at a second and third round pick. Our first 2 picks, they were straight secondary, which I really do like him. And it's funny, I want to pause real quick as we have our 2 picks in. But, I'm seeing some comments. There's a lot of people disagreeing with some of my prospect takes, and that's awesome. I love that. I really I believe in conversation and dialogue, and I don't believe in being polite either. I am polite, but you don't have to be. You guys put whatever the hell you want up there. I'm fine with that. So, if we look at this stuff and what you guys see, again, Mr. Superfly, if not this year, will we draft Sherman's replacement next year? Well, you don't have enough corners. And if you're fine with Emmanuel Mosley being your starting corner with Akello, the backup, that's fine. But again, what do you do a year from now? Because Akello's contract's up in a year, and so is Sherman's. So Mosley's is up too, actually. So we're about to be out of corners. Obviously, you're going to re-sign one or some or all. Not sure you can afford to bring back Sherman. He's going to require a lot of money, and he's going to be older. So that's one of those things that you need. I'm seeing this right here with Armstead, and I get asked this all the time. Sign and trade Armstead and get a second and fourth for him. No way in hell that's ever going to happen. I wish it could. If you look at D Ford, who came off 16.5 sack season, he got a second, a future second. He didn't even get a second for the draft this year. He got a future second. Armstead, whom I love, I don't think he gets that same haul. I think the best case, and if you want to sign and trade, Armstead is a third, perhaps. And that's for this year. That's a maybe. He's a better run defender than he is a pass guy. Yes, he had double-digit sacks. But again, D Ford, 16.5 sacks. He got a second in the future. And I think that's what it is. Trading Goodwin, the 49ers have expressed that they are open to offers for Goodwin. You're talking about a sixth best-case scenario. This is a guy that has already struggled with injuries throughout his whole career. He's a speed demon, probably fastest player in the NFL, but not a polished route runner, struggles with drops, and struggles with injuries. And he's going to be traded for the Olympics. I'm not sure how much the NFL is a concern for him moving forward. So obviously you want all of these, trades to go through. I'm with you there, but you have to have somebody willing to give that up. Now, I will say this. It is a really weak draft class at the edge position. There's not much there at all. So if you want to, there's going to be several teams that are left without edge players. Last year was one of the better edge classes that we've had since 2000, I think 15 or 14 was the year, with Alden Smith and just so many different sets, Von Miller and all those guys, J.J. Watt, you can go on and on. But this draft is not it. I think there's 3 guys excuse me, 3 guys I have with the first round grade. So, take that for what you want, but I love the way this draft has kind of shaken out from the start. I kind of wish I would have flipped it. With pick 48, I wish I would have went away from safety, and I wish I would have grabbed Jonah Jackson or Jalen Reagor now that I knew there were so many studs there at the safety position. But, hey, Antoine Winfield and Bryce Hall, that is awesome. Super, super happy about that. Moving forward, the 49ers are going to be done for a while. They don't have a pick in the 4th round. We've got to wait all the way till pick 156. And, this is our last pick in the 5th round because we traded our second 5th rounder away. So you're sitting there at 156, and there's a whole new best available. Right off the bat, Darrington Evans, the running back out of Appalachian State. The 49ers hosted him for an official visit. This might be a little too early for him, to be honest with you, but the 49ers like him. Super fast. He ran a 4.41, the second fastest running back, at the combine. He fits exactly, that super high speed, Not super shifty, just a straight line, one-cut runner, good in pass protection out of Appalachian State. I really like this kid, but this might be a little too earlier for him. I think 6th round, 7th round is probably where he's going to go. Running backs tend to fall consistently. Another wide receiver, Quintez Cephas, wide receiver out of Wisconsin, 6'1", 207. He is a route-running stud, much better football player than athlete. He didn't test great at the combine, but one of my favorite questions that gets asked by the press whenever players get up there is, who was the hardest or best player you ever played against? And Jeffrey Okudah said, he's not fast. He's the toughest guy and the guy I struggled with against the most. And so you're talking about the top corner in the draft. And I like his film. He's just a tough guy. Really reminds me a lot of kind of Kendrick Bourne, but I think a little bit more of a higher ceiling than Kendrick Bourne has. I could see him for sure. Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. He's a 6'4", 222 guy. Athletic freak, jump ball specialist, but you don't really see a lot more out of that. He's a ceiling play. One of those guys that's either going to be a starter or he's going to be out of the league in 2 years. Boom bust player. That's who he is at wide receiver position. Benito Jones, big old boy out of Ole Miss, 6'1", 321. I think he'd plug that nose guard position, and why not? You had Benito Jones and DJ Jones, who are both from Ole Miss, two big old guys manning that nose tackle, that two-down specialist role. And then an edge guy who, not the biggest fan of what's available, and again, as I said, this is a weak edge class. You get past pick 20, there's nobody. There's really nobody there. I think there's 3 guys that, I really, really like at the position. You talk Chase Young, obviously. Everybody loves him. What he's able to do is special. Kaylavon Chason out of LSU. I don't like A.J. Espinosa. I don't think he's an edge guy. I think he's going to be an interior guy. And Yatir Gross-Matos out of Penn State. I like him. Zach Bond's pretty good, but he's probably a little bit better 3-4 outside pass rush, which doesn't help the 49ers. But anyway, I think you have 3 first-round grades at the edge position, and that's it. And because it's such a premier position, they're going to be gone. So once you get deep into the draft, like here we are, we're sitting at pick 156. There's not a lot of quality talent there. So do you take a guy that you're hoping is just going to sit for a year and get better, or do you take somebody that can push for a starting position? And I think that's what the 49ers do. The 49ers select Wisconsin wide receiver Quintez Cephas, who I think would be able to step into this system and fits the attitude and persona exactly with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Great run blocker, wonderful attitude and personality. Route running is spot on. He'd be able to step in day one without a hiccup and step into this system and participate. I think he'd push Bourne. It's possible he could be the wide receiver too, opposite of who we got last year, but Deebo Samuel. But I think he's just one of those guys that's going to be in the league for a long time. I don't think he's going to go in the first, second, or third round, but he's one of those guys that if I had to bet on, this guy's going to be in the league for a while, because he just looks the part. The film-wise, you watch it and you're like, that's a damn good football player. It's constantly on film, just positive play after positive play. So we've got a wide receiver, we've got a safety, we've got a corner. I'm a big build through the trenches guy, but this is the way the draft worked. We got 2 picks left. Let's see how they go. Now we're to pick number 210, best available. And now we're getting into the deep dive. That's what you guys pay me for. You don't pay me, but if you did, this is what you pay me for. Yes, I watch film on all these guys, and if I have somebody mentioned on this, I've watched film on them. I love it. And if you want to join me watching film, head over to patreon.com or download the app Patreon and just type in 49ers Rush for $8 a month. If you do want to pay me or pay the podcast, everything goes back to the podcast. Put it all back in there for you guys. It's $8 a month and you get access to me watching all that film. We're about to move on to corners over there, and I'll be sharing a lot of that film with you guys. So here we go. Best available at pick 210. Now we're deep diving. Alex Taylor, offensive tackle, South Carolina State. He's 6'9", 308 pounds. Long, athletic build, built perfectly for pass pro. You look at South Carolina State, not the best talent, but he has all the metrics that you want as an offensive tackle in a zone blocking scheme. He's long, he's athletic, he can develop for a year behind Joe Staley, and he's a guy with a super high ceiling. But a team that picks him, you kind of have to redshirt him. He's going to have to put on a little bit of weight, and he's going to have to get a little bit used to the competition level in the NFL. But, with pick 210, with where we're at now, you're at the end of the 6th round. You can go with guys like this. Zach Shackelford, center from Texas, 6'4", 305. Great pass protection, okay run blocker. But if you want a guy, he started 4 straight years for Texas Longhorns, and he is perfect whenever it comes to the passing situation that the 49ers want to do. Can he step up his run game? Hopefully, but the center position is something that Kyle Shanahan values big time, and there's a huge question mark there because I don't think you can rely on Western Richburg staying healthy. He hasn't done it in 5 years. He's been injured every single year, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-term fit with him. And Ben Garland did great stepping in, but he's 32 years old. You're going to have to do something there. Another edge player, Trayvon Hill, out of Miami, 6'3", 233. He's a pass rushing specialist. Think of somebody like Peta that we drafted a few years ago. He's a guy that he's not going to play on first and second down ever. He just goes in and pass rushing sub packages, and it's going to take him a while to develop as well. Cornerback A.J. Green, really like this kid. Actually. Cornerback out of Oklahoma State, 6'1", 199. He ran a really slow 40 at the combine, but he just had his pro day and got clocked at low 4.5s and 4.4s, so that's much, much better. Long, athletic, ball skills, perfect cover 3 corner, and another ball skills corner that's late, and he didn't even get a combine invite, but Jerron Bryant, cornerback out of Fresno State, 6'1", 186, ball skills level 10, physical, very, very athletic. I would love to have that kid on this team, but we already addressed corner, but I do like both those guys there. The 49ers are going to select offensive tackle from South Carolina State, Alex Taylor, and go with the long, lean, just absolute replacement, long-term replacement for Joe Staley at left tackle. He has a left tackle and if you draft this guy, you're going to have a 6'8" guy in McGlinchey and a 6'9" guy in Alex Taylor. Get those long bookend corners on the outside, protect Jimmy Garoppolo long-term. I like it a lot. All right, for our last pick in the 7th round, pick number 245, there are 2 players still available that we just went over. Trayvon Hill, edge out of Miami, and Jerron Bryant, cornerback, Fresno State. Do the 49ers double dip at the corner position? I don't think they do. They go with edge. You can never have enough. 49ers select edge player out of Miami, Trayvon Hill. And that is going to wrap up the 2020 draft class on the John Chapman-led 49ers. And so let me know what you think. I'm going to put a poll up on Twitter. I want you to vote. We got safety Anton Winfield Jr., we got cornerback Bryce Hall, wide receiver Quintez Cephas, offensive tackle out of South Carolina State Alex Taylor, and edge out of Miami Trayvon Hill. I like this. It's only a 5-player draft class. Obviously, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan are going to bring in a whole bunch of undrafted free agents, as every team will. But, the 49ers have had a lot of success with the undrafted free agent draft class. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Man, it's a fun practice, and you kind of see, one of my favorite things about mock draft is there were a lot of safeties that fell. I love Anton Winfield, but, hindsight's 2020, and whenever you finish going through this and you look back and you're like, man, I wish we could have waited at that position and maybe got a top-tier guard like Jonah Jackson. Maybe you got a top-tier wide receiver like Jalen Reagor in the second round after we fell back. But I think I love the trade back. I really do like that. Just wish the board would have fell a different way, and maybe that's on us. And, the next time I do a mock draft, I doubt I'm going to take a safety early, because if you could get one of those top second-tier safeties Duggar, Chin in the third round. If you can pull a second and third round from trading that 31st overall pick, I think that's a good thing. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. A lot of fun as always. Please head over to Twitter. Put a lot of stuff up over there at JL_Chapman. And until next time, guys, really appreciate it. And man, we're just going to keep bringing draft content. That's what we're going to do. So if you have something that you would like covered or a prospect, hit me up on Twitter. Just DM me. I will add them to the list. I think we're up to 140 plus draft prospects that I've watched film on already, and I'm just going to keep adding to the list. So if there's somebody that you think would be a good fit for the 49ers, message me over there at JL_Chapman. Really appreciate it, guys, and man, stay strong, faithful.